Yes, welcome into Sports Bet Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, weekend preview edition. We're going to talk about the Cubs in a second. A book here in Vegas opened up a yes-no with the Cubbies and a win total. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Some great games to go over. We got the Nuggets and the Knicks tonight. Saturday, Westbrook Durant goes home, back home, where he used to play. Golden State at OKC, and then Gonzaga and St. Mary's, Kalin, Arizona in college. Great game with the Zags and St. Mary's coming up. And the play of the day. Well, look at the shenanigans here, Teddy. How hard is it to bet early in the morning with an NBA game now? I don't think we've ever seen this before with the Cavs and the Thunder game. Take it away.
Well, we can't say we've never seen it before, but certainly not something you see every day.
Where a coach changed his mind with three big players?
Rarely will a coach change his mind. And normally when he changes his mind, he'll change it the other way. Where guys that were going to play, all right, let's let them sit. Not vice versa. But this is about as wild a line move as you'll ever see. All right. Wednesday, the Cavs open -2. Both offshore, bookmakers putting up the openers. Let's call it bookmaker numbers. All right. That got bet with nothing but Thunder money. Bet to OKC -1.5 before the Cavs tipped off against Indiana on Wednesday night. So, the following morning, Thursday morning, bookmaker opens OKC -4. That's 6:19 a.m. Pacific time. By 6:26 a.m. Pacific time, it's OKC -7. The markets are recognizing, Lou's sitting everybody tonight. Moves to 8 by 6:59 a.m. -9 by 7:15 a.m. And then the followers come. -10 at 8:06 a.m. -11 at 9:51 a.m. -12 OKC by 2:11 p.m. And then it got bet back down to 11.5. Then boom, all of a sudden Lou's like, oh, everyone's playing. At 3:39 p.m., the Cavs reopen -1.5, and the money comes for OKC again. Pick by 3:58, OKC -2 by 4:38 p.m. Finally closed Thunder -1. And Pauly, in this contest, number one, the books took a bath because it was all OKC money, even though they made that big adjustment and then right back down. And number two, even if you bet OKC at the very worst number, you laid 12, you were live until that final three-pointer.
Totally live. Up 12, 20 seconds. Cavs hit a three. They dribble it out. That's it. Yeah. Even every ticket would have got there. Oh, what a middle opportunity, too. Oh, my God. I know. Imagine you get that news. You lay 11.5, and then you're up 12 with 20 seconds. Oh, my God. Christmas came early there. But bam, the three from downtown. Oh, incredible. The whole thing didn't make sense to begin with, why you were going to sit those guys, all three of them, on the back-to-back. Why not sit one or two against Indiana? I don't know. Maybe the commissioner made a phone call because it was on TNT. Who knows? Remember what Stern did to Popovich that one year?
Yeah, but Pop doesn't respond to anybody's criticism, especially not David Stern. Tyrone Lue not quite as secure in his job as Craig Popovich is.
All right, horrific beat here. We were on the Google Hangout while this was going on last night. The Jazz are up 71-50 with 6 minutes left in the third. They lose in overtime. They blow it. They're up 4 with 20 seconds. And the Mavs force overtime. And they were betting the Mavs. And 112-105 final. Huge comeback by the Mavs.
Yeah, Harrison Barnes, 31 for Dallas. It's the sixth game of 30 or more this season. And it's the second straight game, really the third straight game, where Dallas has hit big shots in the final seconds. This team's fighting. I mean, some squads you say, all right, you get to this stage of the campaign, and even if we make the 8 seed, it's not going to matter. And you don't see that effort. The effort has been there for Dallas. And as you mentioned, when you rally from 21 down in the third, that's a lot of effort. And Utah, we've seen this more than once from the Jazz this season. That team blows leads. I like Utah first half in general more than I like Utah for the game. But tough beat if you had the Jazz minus the points.
Yep, bad bet. Charlotte. They were +4 to +2.5. That was, the Eric Gordon news as well, who didn't play for the Rockets. This team stinks right now. They could miss the playoffs.
No, I'm with you 100%. The money didn't come on Charlotte as much as it came against Houston with Gordon sitting out. But, could miss the playoffs. I think they will miss the playoffs. The only teams in the East with a worse record than Charlotte since January 1st, the Magic and the Nets. I think even the Knicks have a better record than Charlotte does during this span. This is a struggling squad, Pauly, in a lot of different ways. And I was surprised they took money last night against a team that's a whole lot better than they are. certainly a squad that has not been priced correctly in the markets since basically the calendar turned to 2017.
Didn't see this coming. I mean, they had that great series last year, 7-game war against the Heat. Thought they had a promising future, and so far the wheels have come off this season with Charlotte. The games lived up to the hype on ESPN. The games we previewed on SportsBit: Duke, Carolina, UCLA, Oregon. UCLA wins, epic comeback. They win by 3. They were down 19. Oregon now 3-63 all time on the road against top 10 teams, and everything was in the balance there at the end.
Well, that's the beauty of it, and that's what the sports books want. It's what the networks want. It's not necessarily what bettors want, but UCLA closed -4 and 163. They win by 3. And God, Pauly, we're not getting a break with these play of the day, man. That total beat was tough if you had the under in that contest. UCLA, not the right side. Didn't get there, but again, a 3-point win. There's drama in the final minute. Duke, same story. Duke closed -2.5, 164, 164.5. Side and total down to the, I don't know if the side was down to the final possession for Duke, down to the final minute for Duke. But certainly the total, which lands in the middle, right on the number. The total itself, not necessarily a great result for the house. But in general, that's what they want, Pauly. They want the same thing. The NFL's talking about it. The NBA is talking about it. Major League Baseball is talking about it when it comes to betting. Quote, viewer engagement. And viewers are engaged when point spread results and or total results come down to that final minute of play.
Yeah, Manfred knows. Lonzo Ball took over down the stretch. What a game. And a great job by UCLA coming back and getting that win. Tony Miller from the Golden Nugget here in Las Vegas put this out yesterday. Baseball right around the corner, and you know it's going to be nothing but Cubs money. You get it every year, and now they're looking to repeat. Their win total, 97.5, and yes, no prop. The Cubs versus the field, no, -$5. Take back yes, plus $350 to win the World Series. What say you?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for the Cubs to match a number of things that went right for them last year. Namely, the starting pitching last year was as good as it's going to get. Not going to be any better this year. You also have a team that knows that regular season success is meaningless. Postseason success is all that matters. So, in general, what do you got to do? We know where the value is. The value's on the no, and the value's on the under. But I think we'll find something better than 97.5. I'm in no rush to get to the window betting that one under. When I think I may see a better number in the not-too-distant future.
Good job, Tony, at the Nugget. They also do Games of the Year in college football. People go crazy for that as well. Up next, big game breakdown. We'll start in the association. The dumpster fire continues in New York. We'll get to Oakley. He was on ESPN Radio, and we'll preview the game as well. Knicks and the Nuggets. We also get to Golden State and OKC, and then to college coming up. 4 big games next on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Go to SBROdds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy. Follow us on Twitter at Pauly Howard, at Teddy_covers. Tonight in the association, Nuggets and the Knicks. Knicks laying. How about that? 2.5, 228 the total. Let's start with the Oakley situation. Kicked out by security. 8-9 guys hauled him off. He was arrested. Conflicting reports. Some people backing up Oakley's account. Other people saying he started chirping at Dolan, who was a couple rows up. And that's when they called security. Oakley told ESPN Radio in New York that as soon as he's in the building, they're supposed to tell Dolan right away because he's not welcome at Madison Square Garden. And Oakley not happy about it.
Well, there's video of the incident, and the video shows nothing that Oakley did to warrant the treatment that he got. We've got quotes from fans. Jamie Fidiello, seated in the area, said, quote, Oakley was mildly boisterous to one security guard, but nothing that seemed like he should be kicked out. I didn't see him say anything to James Dolan. So, that's the nature of the game when you're the owner. You want to sit up in your box, it's one thing. You want to sit down by the court, it's another. You're going to get chirped at. But for New York, the last thing they need is more nonsense like this, especially with the quotes that we're seeing. Madison Square Garden security handled it poorly. They never said to him, calm down. The only interaction was them saying, you need to leave.
He acted like an ass. You can't put your hands on security. You can't put your finger in someone's face. You can't shove security. Phil Jackson comes over to step in and help him out. They still cuffed him and stuffed him.
But you think about that's going on off the court. The Knicks had a game where Carmelo Anthony and Derrick Rose just scored 20 points, and they lost to the Clippers anyway. They blew a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. So, the off-court distractions making a circus even more of a circus. But from a basketball perspective, the Knicks got what they wanted to get and needed to get. Melo and Rose playing well against L.A., and it didn't even matter, Paul. They still found a way to lose.
Yeah, up 10 in the fourth quarter. They let it slip away. And how does Hornacek keep them motivated? 6-19 straight up since Christmas. Only 2-5 straight up in the 7 games when favored since then. 0-3 straight up in ATS on the current homestand. They're giving up 117 points per game. Every day it's something new with Melo. Phil Jackson taking shots at him. Melo, quote, I think anybody would get tired of it. If you went to work every day and you had these spats about you, eventually you'll get tired. Unless you're as strong as I am, know how to deal with it and move on from it. But I think anybody, any human being at some point in time will start feeling a way about it. Can't cry over spilled milk, end quote. But it's, I'll tell you what, this guy, Phil Jackson's been a disaster. Absolutely. I agree with what Spike Lee said. He has his bag should be packed. Keep Melo. Get rid of Phil. But now...
We talked about this when he got hired. We said
horrible
it was a
hire.
furious
I know,
hire,
horrible.
and it wasn't going to work. But it all, you're blaming Phil Jackson. It all comes from ownership. This is James Dolan. When you have a bad owner, what you have underneath him is a bad organization. And the bad organization tends to lurch. They, let's find this big name. Let's find that big name. Just what the 49ers are doing right now. The same concept of lurching one way to the other and not building something competitively. When you look at how the Sixers have handled their rebuild, and I'm telling you, Philadelphia's going to be competing for NBA championships in a year or two. Not 5 years, not 10 years, a year or two. The Knicks, it could be forever. Who knows how long it's going to be before New York. It is a disaster, and certainly, as you mentioned, based on the point spread results, 2-5 straight up as chalk in 2017. That's not a team I can lay points with.
Knicks most bet on team at the LV Superbook at the Westgate before the season with futures, 80-1. Jesus, burn those tickets. Nuggets strong since coming back from London, but why are the Knicks favored? Gallinari's out, Moutier's out, and Fareed could miss the game as well, Teddy.
Yeah, Fareed had an ankle injury at Atlanta on Wednesday, but, when we started talking about Denver we've talked about Denver all year. We talked about Denver a couple of weeks ago and saying, this team's not living up to it. And much like Indiana, that London trip where they had a chance to get extra practices in, both before and after, man, this team's played a lot better basketball. Now, they got blown out early at Atlanta, and they rallied and they came up short. Michael Malone, after the game, quote, I owned it. They were executing the game plan that I put in, and I said, my game plan stinks. Let's get more aggressive. Let's get them on their heels. And the players responded. If you want to get back into a game, you can't just sit there and wait for it to happen. Sometimes you have to be the cause of that change. I thought that by being aggressive in our pick and roll defense, that allowed us to get going and give us an aggressive swagger that really helped us out. Boy, Pauly, the first gut in this was say, hey, let's take a look at this game up and over the total. But man, the odds makers have certainly priced that appropriately. 228 and a half. Probably not going to get there.
Yeah, especially with those key guys out. Can't do it, though, although it'll be a crazy pace and no defense in that one. Saturday night, ABC. How good is this? Golden State at OKC. Durant goes back home. Teddy's number, Warriors 6. And he's been lights out against OKC so far. Durant, his teammates have gone out of their way to shut down Westbrook. November 3rd, Warriors laying 12 at home, 122-96. Durant had 39 points in 31 minutes and was 15 of 24. Westbrook 4 of 15 with 6 turnovers. January 18th, Golden State laying 15, 121-100. Durant had 40 in 33 minutes. He was 13 of 16 shooting. Westbrook 8 of 23, 10 turnovers.
Well, yeah, I mean, you add those numbers up. Look, Durant in the 2 previous meetings, and both of them were played in San Fran, or at Oracle, I should say, in the Bay Area. But Durant, 79 points in 64 minutes, 28 of 40 from the floor. 12 of 18 from three-point range, as good as an offensive player can play. Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, 12 of 38 shooting with 16 turnovers. That's more turnovers than made baskets. And this is going to be a problem for the Thunder. A problem that's not going to go away, especially without Kanter, because they have not been the same team since he got hurt. Of course, the Warriors coming out of the game at Memphis, 4-1 straight up 0-5 against the spread in back-to-back games on the road this season. So they've been winning games in this role, but not covering numbers, although this is one game they may want a little bit more for their teammate.
Yep, and with Cantor out, Adams having to play a lot of minutes. You look at this graphic, the last 4 games, 44 against Memphis, 37, 36, and 39. That's 39.6 minutes per game. The season leader is Lowry at 37.7.
Yeah, and of course, what's going to happen to Adams? You can see it happening already. He is going to wear down. He's a good player. On both ends of the floor, I've been impressed with Steven Adams, but he's not a guy who you want on the floor for 40-plus minutes on a nightly basis, and he's going to run out of gas, and OKC is going to run out of gas. I'm telling you, the Cantor injury, one of these factors that doesn't move the needle on a point spread. Some reserve, some guy off the bench. No. He's the glue that holds it all together. What do? We spend the NBA season looking for guys like Cantor and say, when he gets hurt, this now becomes a bet against team. I'll tell you what, I want no part of OKC against Golden State. Golden State's the better of the two teams, and they've come in to both previous matchups with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, even though they've struggled in these back-to-back roles.
It'll be a fun matchup Saturday night. Up next, college. Cal, Arizona, the big one Saturday night on ESPN. Number 1 and undefeated Gonzaga at St. Mary's on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today. Big game breakdown continues. Pauly and Teddy. Live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Saturday, Cal and Arizona. Line will come up later today. Arizona won by 5, first time on the road. Then Cal caught fire. 9-2 straight up since. Only losses at UCLA and at Oregon. Quanzo Martin building his defense around Rab inside, and he's coming up big on both ends, averaging 15 and 10 so far. Now number 8 in the nation in total defense and number 8 in effective field goal percentage. They threw a zone at Arizona State and shut them down 68-43. Bobby Hurley, Arizona State coach, after the game, quote, "They had a really good game plan for us. Their length and their size and their zone right out of the gate bothered us on offense. We were dribbling around and not moving the ball well enough, not getting into gaps, finding the open teammate. We struggled on offense," end quote. No kidding. Now, Arizona won, and it was a conference win at home by 7, but Miller lit them up after the game. Here's a money quote, Teddy.
Oh, yeah, he sure did. It's going to take a minute, but this is one reason why I have no interest in betting against Arizona on Saturday. Quote, this is from Sean Miller, the Wildcats head coach. "The word pro is thrown around way too much at Arizona because of the great history of our program. We have guys who think they're NBA players and they can't guard the ball. Like, not only are you not getting picked by an NBA team, but you're not even getting invited to camp. Nobody's going to take a chance on a guy who can't guard the man in front of him. And the same thing when shots go up. You can't block out right now in February and keep your man from second shots. There's nobody picking you. Just because Richard Jefferson got picked doesn't mean you're getting picked. You have to earn it every game, every day. We've built up a lot of equity because of the season that we've had. But tonight," this of course was a game against Stanford, "the effort level in rebounding, the irresponsibility in rebounding, and the number of guys who just can't guard the ball, it allows us to be vulnerable. And you know what? Cal's a great basketball team and playing really well. They're the type of team who will come in here and just smash us all over the floor." Yeah, Miller read his team the riot act, and we'll see if they respond.
He was talking about the big guys, the 7-footers. They no-showed against Stanford. Markkanen didn't do anything, and the two bigs combined for 12 points in 54 minutes, 3 of 14 shooting, 8 rebounds, 3 turnovers, no assists, and no block shots. You're going to get an angry Arizona team. I'm agree with you there, Teddy. Good job there. Now the big one, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Saturday night, 5 o'clock Pacific, ESPN. Gonzaga hits the road to take on St. Mary's. It's number 1 against number 20, and it's 25-0 against 22-2. A unique spot and one of the underrated home court advantages in college, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, McKeon Pavilion may well be the single loudest setting for a college basketball all year. Mark Titus went to Gonzaga St. Mary's. Mark Titus from Grantland.com. He went there in February 2015. I eventually figured it out, walked into the gym and took my seat. 2 minutes later, I was sweating. 5 minutes after that, my back started hurting. This is when I realized that I'd flown across the country and driven a half hour to a tiny town in Northern California just to have the most miserable basketball experience of my life. But then it happened. St. Mary's scored its first basket of the game, and the home crowd exploded. I went from thinking the Gales need an upgrade to hoping they never get a new gym. That's because, and I don't care if you don't believe me, McCain Pavilion on Saturday night was as insane of a college basketball atmosphere as I've ever experienced. Yeah, 3,500 fans, Pauly. And you know what? That's 3,500 fans who will be as loud as any 3,500 people in the country on Saturday.
And I'll tell you, St. Mary's won't be intimidated because they swept Gonzaga last year in the regular season, then lost in the championship game out here, the conference tournament in Vegas. The first meeting, Gonzaga was laying 5. It was 79-56, rebounds even. But why'd they get the W?
Well, shooting percentages. Gonzaga, 64.7. They hit 7 of 13 triples. St. Mary's, 39.7. And just 6 of 16 from beyond the arc. So when you say the turnovers are equal, neither team turned it over. The rebounds are equal. It was all shooting. Zags made their shots. Gales didn't. Now, that doesn't always happen when it comes to McKeon Arena. Of course, you know, it's hot, it's humid, it's cramped, it's a giant concrete box, and it doesn't absorb any noise. It gets ridiculously loud in that concept. So Gonzaga in that venue. Gonzaga hitting 65% from the floor in the first meeting. You know, it's going to be real hard for them to match that type of shooting percentage in the rematch.
Nobody plays slower than St. Mary's. Not just 351 overall, but nearly slowest both ways. 350 on offense and 351 on defense. What was that game last week against San Diego? They had like 17 points late in the game.
Well, that's just it. I mean, they are going to slow it down and take 25, 30 plus seconds on every possession on the offensive end, and they force opponents to do the same thing on defense. But there's a big issue for St. Mary's. You know, the big man, 6'11", 255, Jacques Landale. He only had 19 minutes in that first meeting before fouling out. A guy who averages 17 points and 9.5 boards per game. Landale, a non-factor when the Zags hit all of those shots the first time around. I don't expect it to be a non-factor in the rematch.
So tough atmosphere, tough venue as we talked about, but Nigel Williams-Goss has led the way. He was huge in the win at BYU, and that holds 20,000. They were going crazy there, although he's used to tough road environments transferring in from Washington at the Pac-12. But are they ready for a close game, Teddy? They're so good, 25-0, and the non-conference was a long time ago with the Arizona win. And when's the last time they've been in a close game?
Well, that's my biggest concern about Gonzaga, not just for this game, but moving forward, because you get blowout after blowout after blowout, and all of a sudden you're in a tight game. You got to make a key stop. You have to hit a key shot in the final minute or two, and you haven't done that a ton of times before. So this is a Zags team that hasn't been in a single game that was decided by less than 10 points since their win at Arizona, against Arizona at the Staples Center. That was back on December 3rd. They won that game by 7 over the Wildcats. The Wildcats weren't as good then as they are now, but that end game definitely a concern for the Zags, and potentially so is the pace of this one, Pauly.
Yep, this would be great for college basketball to get a team undefeated into March. If the Zags can win this Saturday, they should be undefeated going into March, and then the conference tournament out here in Las Vegas, and heavy favorites then to get to the championship game where we might see the third meeting against St. Mary's. Hell of a team. Maybe few can finally get them to the Final Four. Money time, play of the day. Where are we going?
Well, let's talk about Gonzaga and St. Mary's. And we don't have a total. We will see numbers posted later on today. Expect a number in the 130s. Anything at 130 or higher. We're going to take the Zags and the Gales under the total. You talked about St. Mary's deliberate pace. You talked about how well Gonzaga shot in the first meeting between these two teams. I'm expecting a slow down, very intense ball game, start to finish. This isn't a shootout. This is deliberate pace. Take the Zags and the Gales. Gonzaga, St. Mary's under the total. That's our play of the day.
All right, very good. Going to be fun. We'll recap everything on Monday, and I know football's done, a little depressing, but next thing you know, we'll be into March and the madness in the conference tournaments. Have a good weekend. We're back Monday. Don't forget Google Hangout, the live chat every Thursday at 8 o'clock Pacific. Thanks to everyone who participated, and follow us on Twitter as well. And thanks for watching. SportsBit, betting insight today on SBRpicks.com.